About 28 states have been ravaged by devastating floods this year. Most affected is Kebbi State, which has seen 5 bridges washed away and thousands of hectares of farmland and houses submerged. Kebbi State is a focal point in the federal government's policy to produce rice locally as part of the administration's commitment to agricultural revival, which suffered relative neglect in favor of food importation. While farmers are still smarting from the impact of the pandemic on their businesses, flash floods may pose a greater challenge to Nigeria's food security. Well, joining me is a farmer and environmentalist, Idowu Salau. Also joining us, Kabir Shitu, a farmer, also joins me from Abuja. Gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. All right, let's begin with you, Kabir Shitu. Talk to us. Help us understand. In Kebbi State particularly, reports say about 500,000 hectares of farm produce amounting to 5 billion naira has been affected by the floods. How much of a concern is this for you?
Good morning, Nigerian. It's a great devastating effect because the flood has really caused, you can't quantify the amount because you'll be talking of about 5 billion to almost 20 billion. And it's still not stopped because from the report which we got earlier before now, around May, it was stated that it will be about 28 states and about 102 local governments will be affected. Now we are talking around River Niger. We are now as a country supposed to take proactive measure in area of Benue River because very soon we will hear around that area too. So we have as a country and as people look at how will be proactive and then be able to quickly give our palliative for the rice farmers to go into dry season farmers. That is what should concern us. Luckily,
the government has said that, I have to cut in now, the government has said it is going to cushion the effect of the flooding on farmers, and it's looking at some level of palliatives. But let's bring the conversation into the studio now where Idowu Salau is, for him to quickly tell us, help us better understand the magnitude of the floods on farming, its intensity, what we are seeing, taking Kebbi into cognizance as we speak now. How much of human activity also constitutes this level of flooding that we are seeing, as well as climate change?
Thank you, Veronica. I'm happy that the farmer there, I'm a farmer too.
Yeah.
I practice farming with the environmental job that I do, and I've experienced both. I know what's caused flooding, and I know the impact of flooding in an agrarian area. I've had experience just last year in Itoike. I was preparing during the August break of the rain last year. I was preparing, and I was to do vegetable and other crops. So I did watermelon with the hope that within the next 3 months, we had the forecast that the rain will not be too much. But all of a sudden, this rain, that's the area of climate change you refer to. This rain just come like that. We lost about 2 hectares or 3 hectares of our watermelon, because watermelon is one of the vegetables that does not like too much water when you are growing it. So that's apart. What is referring to about the flooding giving farmers serious headache? If we put infrastructure in place, we should be able to reduce or mitigate the effect of the flooding on food security. What do I mean by that? There's what we call water harvesting. When we have too much rain, there's bound to be flooding. Flooding is caused in 3 main causes. We have urban flooding, which is the snap one that we have when the water falls intensively. Then you have river flooding. Don't forget, Nigeria is in the basin.
Yes.
The River Benue is coming in, the River Niger is coming in, we are the collectors. So those people farming even if it is subsistence farming or large-scale farming, you need to farm near where the river is. So when the flood comes, do we use the flood positively or negatively? So part of positive use of flooding is when you harvest the excess water.
But some persons will say that it's majorly for countries that are, perhaps suffering from not having enough rainfall. Those are the ones that could be looking at harvesting flood.
Yes, but in Nigeria, do we have rainfall the same all over Nigeria? No. We have some area in the south. We have more rain in the south than in the north. Is there anything wrong in damming River Niger again in some area and save water through the dam and pump the water by gravity or by using pump station to take it down to where they don't have water and preserve the water through the raining dry season farming system? These are the kind of infrastructure that we need to put in place to be able to harvest the water and use it during the dry season farming.
All right.
That's number one. Number two,
Quickly,
is that the impact of flood, you look at the socio-economic and environmental and ecological factors that are in between flood and the food security. So we can discuss that based on the fact that when flood affects farmers, it ravages all their plantation. It cleared it away. And the same people, they have to transport their produce to the market. The road has been washed away. Wow. So these are the devastating effects of flood on our food security.
A complex issue there.
Very, very complex, but we have solutions to it.
All right. Before we come to you for solutions, let's quickly take Kabir Shitu's final word on this matter. You have been saying that the government should look into palliatives. In terms of that, what are you expecting government and how far would that go?
Well, if you give this palliative, especially the seed and input like the fertilizers and other farm input, if we, as quickly as possible, be able to give it to the farmers, it will help them to go back to dry season farming, and that will let them equip back what they have lost, and the country too will gain from it by having enough food to be able to feed the country. This palliative is very, very necessary, and although the Minister of Agri has said that they will do that, but they should do it at the right time. And the right time is now, so that they can prepare for the dry season farming. That will help us a lot. And secondly, I want to also urge the fund interventions to quickly go in. And we should de-emphasize the issue of collateral in this type of case. If we want to go for food security, we must also be able to look at how we get on advanced technological advancement to be able to cater for our farmers.
All right.
Not to say that they
we'll
must
have to leave the conversation from your end on that note, because we have to quickly wrap up. And we still have Ido Salau here. Quickly, your final thoughts on this, and how critical is it for farmers to perhaps be enlightened with regards to issues of the climate change, so as to determine how they plant their crops?
Now, they have to listen to the government in the area of awareness and weather forecast. They should look, because if you don't look at the weather forecast, and that's why they have to change the system of agriculture. If we go into greenhouse farming, that is a controlled environment. Even if water comes and this and that, you can still salvage some area. Though not the kind of flooding we are talking about. Maybe we have cessation of the rain, so you can use the underground water to do your irrigation and this and that. So, but at the same time, farmers should work with the government agency responsible for, which is the Ministry of Agriculture. They have experts. And Ministry of Agriculture should work with Ministry of Environment so that they can get a kind of a solution that will make sure that the irrigation system channel this excess water into area that does not have water, so that even if it's dam, if it is a water reservoir, So we can do it. It's being practiced in South Africa. It's being practiced in Rwanda. It's being practiced all over the world.
Right.
I don't know why we cannot do that. If we have excess water that's supposed to be positively impact on our economy, why are we wasting it?
Let's take a look at this issue of flooding that we often talk about. Since the past few years, you have even been in our studio talking about the impact of flood, especially when there's a projection and then when the authorities warn Nigerians about flood and all of that. And it seems nothing is really done. But let's focus on food security. From what you've seen so far, and you've been monitoring this development, what concerns do you have generally? How concerned, or what's the scare should Nigerians have in their minds going forward with regards to food?
See, on a more serious note, it's sad that these things are happening to us in Nigeria. Don't forget, we started the pandemic around March. Farmers couldn't go to work. They couldn't go to their farm. Now, we are having a recession. Where is the money to even bring in fertilizer to cushion the effect for them? Now, the flood is coming. All these three emergency situations that we find ourselves, there are no vaccines for them. And there are no vaccines for them. There is no vaccine for flood. It's emergency situation. It's more what we refer to as force majeure. We declare force majeure. War, all this. There are no vaccines. So the vaccine is to stop. You can't stop this. And in the Millennium Development, in the SDG, goal number 2, that is to reduce poverty, food security, and allow people to get out of poverty. So if we don't take proactive measure now, all these serious problem we are facing now, we need to go back to the drawing board. The effect of flooding with farmers' problem that they have during the pandemic will be enormous for us. And what do I mean by that? If you look at flooding, effect of flooding, impact of flooding on the environment, farmland is part of the environment. Road network is part of the environment. If they cannot even produce, they can't farm to get the produce. If they even get the produce to even take it to the final buyers, and the road is washed away by flood. So where do we meet ourselves?
So farmers who are going into farming now with the issues of flood on yearly basis, what should an average farmer put into consideration before he goes into farming now?
Good. What they need to put in, if they are very close to the bank of the river, they know we should be expecting river flooding any moment from now. Yeah. It's no longer going to be urban flooding. The one we've been experiencing is urban flooding. Now, river flooding is, and most of the farmers that we have, who are these pocket farmers that give us food within the urban area, we call it urban farming, they farm on the bank of the river. And if you have river flooding, all their farm produce will be washed away. So my worry is they should be thinking of the modern farming system, which I always call environmental farming, which is the greenhouse, whereby they can practice their farm in the city.
But one will talk about the cost of doing that.
That is where government needs to come in. That is where the CBN and other, the line banking, that is the Ministry of Agricultural Bank, should come in and engage the farmer to start practicing this greenhouse farming system. It's one of the things that can reduce. You can just get a 6 plot of land within the city and you get the same yield that you have in about an expanse of land near the river bank. And you have a control water system. You need to use the underground borehole and do your irrigation, the drip irrigation into the farming system, into your farm produce. And you have all year round water supply. You don't need to wait. But another one, if you really want to plan for this large scale farming through the open farming system, there's what we call water harvesting. Water harvesting, you take the excess flood water that is coming out during the rainy season, you save them, you harvest it and save them in a reservoir. And you use, it's either some you pump by gravity or some you use the pump station. I'll give you an example. Where I'm working in Ibadan, it's not a farmland, but it's a dump site where the excess water that comes through the rain, that we talk on the leachate, we call it leachate. It comes and percolates, and during the rainy season, this water goes to the underground water and pollute all the borehole in the environment. What we did was to look for the lowest gradient point in the dump site, and we collect the leachate. we find out that this leachate could even be used for domestic purpose. What do I mean by that? We took the sample of the water to the laboratory. We found out it has more of biological parameter than physicochemical parameter. And these are bacteria and this and that. The ordinary chlorine we can neutralize them. We can neutralize and it could be used for other things, for domestic use. We can do the same thing. And that is a pilot scheme. So where are our research and development in the ministries and parastatal? These are the people they should be giving funds to go outside and work with the farmers, so that things will change.
All right. Now, the issue of agri insurance is another thing. Some experts have said that farmers should learn how to, insure their farms. What do you make of that? Because at a time like this where your whole farm is washed away, you should have something to fall back on.
These are part of palliative.
Okay.
You see, in business, you take risk, and you have to insure your risk. So I advise farmers too, on a more serious note, but if we keep on insuring and keep on requesting for damages from our insurance all year round, when do we have the full security that we are talking about? The best bet, how we advise, as far as that is concerned in the normal standard business procedure, you need to do the insurance. Yes, but I would really say we should go into preventive measure for emergency situation like this that does not have vaccines to stop it. So we should go into preventive measure by doing a lot of river taming, river damming, and infrastructure and water harvesting system, so that when this water that's supposed to be a blessing, before it turns to problem that we are now having now, we should do this preventive measure to channel them for purpose of positive impact on our environment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ido Salau, for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.